Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Welcome back to another edition of the Disney Dish Podcast with Jim Hill. It's me, Len Testa, and this is our show for the week of Schmersday, October 21st, 2024. On the show today, news. So much news. And listener questions. Then in our main segment, it's part one of Jim's two-part history of Epcot's El Rio del Tiempo boat ride. Let's get started by bringing in the man whose family tradition is to throw the funeral casket's flower bouquet into the crowd to see who's next. It's Mr. Jim Hill. Jim, how's it going? Wait, did I get the wedding thing confused there?
No. The Hills are an odd tribe. I'm not going to lie. Mind you, though, George Carlin had an interesting observation about this, that the problem with flowers at funerals is that, well, they all arrive at once and then too late. You get more flowers than you ever got in your entire life, and then you're not there to enjoy them.
Exactly.
The other thing that Carlin said that I love was a classic bit of his stand-up. He said he came up what he thought would be the perfect murder, which was that what you need to do first is pick up one guy by the ankles and then beat another guy to death with the first guy. With the idea of you have two corpses and no murder weapon. And then George went on to describe the police at the scene. And it's like, well, what do you think happened, Sergeant? And said, well, it appears to be a pedestrian accident. They must have been moving at quite a clip. So anyway.
That seems like the kind of plot that you would see in an Agatha Christie mystery. Like that. That's just classic.
It is.
My God, that's fantastic.
I love George. We lost him back in June of 2008. By the way, in that new Saturday Night Live movie that just came out, he was the first host of the very first live broadcast of that show. So yeah,
really.
So,
that's kind of appropriate, yeah.
Anyway.
That's fantastic. All right, Jim, let's do a quick shout out to our Patreon subscribers. Thanks to everyone who subscribes to the show over at patreon.com/JimHillMedia, including Skip Gadd, Amanda Novotny, Sam Clark, Dave Lull, Andrew Ford, and Strikan. Jim, these are the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad cast members who, one foggy night back in June, after the park had closed, thought they heard voices out in the distance. So they hopped on the ride to investigate, and a few minutes later the train returned to the station, but it was empty, making them the Phantom Crew of Thunder Mountain Railroad. True spooky story.
Okay.
On to the news. All right, folks. The news is sponsored by TouringPlans.com. Touring Plans helps you save time and money at theme parks like Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando. Check us out at TouringPlans.com. All right, Jim, the big news. We have an opening date for Epic Universe. And let me just, before we get into the opening date, let me just say a quick round of congratulations to you. Because you knew this opening date and did not say it. And that is a remarkable amount of restraint.
To be fair here, it was Robbie Whalen, the author of the piece in the Wall Street Journal that broke this news, who shared this info with me and then made me swear not to share it. And I think within a day or so, I caved to you and Eric.
Well, so here's the funny thing for our listeners, right? So I jump on a recording session where Jim Hill, Jim Scholl, and I are recording Disney Unpacked. And because I like to keep things fresh, we're in the middle of recording. Like, we're literally going through the script, and I'm like, hold on, I just want to stop for a second. Jim Hill, you've got a secret, and I know you've got a secret.
And then it was like, okay, which of the 20?
And Eric, our producer, is like, what is going on here?
There we go.
Anyway, all right. So anyway, congratulations on keeping that one. That was good. All right. Epic Universe opens May 22nd, 2025. Helios, the hotel, will open May 22nd as well. Reservations start tomorrow, October 22nd, and I plan on being there opening day. So, Jim, I've heard 2+ months of soft opens and team member previews. Are you hearing that as well?
Yeah, in fact, what's kind of intriguing about that is, remember, what are our openings on the Stella Nova and the Terra Lune?
January and February, and I'm there for opening night for both of those two. I've already got reservations for that.
What's kind of intriguing. Those are supposedly going to be the feeder hotels for these soft openings, but to date, we have no information about when and how that's possibly going to happen. But anyway.
All right, so we think that the previews are going to start as land-by-land access for team members. As each land is ready, I'm told some of them are pretty close, if not ready now. Are you hearing what I'm hearing, that the Harry Potter Ministry of Magic Land might be the last to open? And it's basically a 50-50 coin toss as to whether it opens with the rest of the park.
Well, what's intriguing about this, and it's Drew Taylor, my co-host on Fine Tuning, who reminded me of this, but when they went to open Diagon Alley, he was among the members of the press who came out for the opening of that Universal apologized to, because it's like, we can't get the Escape from Gringotts to work reliably. We're going to need to bring you back to experience this ride.
I remember this.
So
this.
it's kind of part of the baked-in process now when it comes to opening a new Harry Potter-themed land. That
Right.
Because the rides in these things are such moonshots that they do take a while to get up and running reliably.
And I think that's an important point, that Universal is really swinging for the fences with a lot of these attractions. It's not just, we're going to open up the same rides that we've got around the world and people will come to it just because it's a new park. They're really trying a bunch of new stuff here. So, and speaking of that, you and I have seen some of the visual effects used in the parks. And I'm not going to say where or what, but they're amazing. Like Galactic Star Cruiser Yoda hologram good. So I am cautiously optimistic about some of this stuff.
Same thing here, but just it's always kind of the classic case of, okay, you can do that, and that's amazing.
In a lab
There
somewhere.
we go.
Yeah.
Now do it.
Yeah, do it 3 times a day in the humidity of Orlando. Right, I get it. Yeah, but still, the fact that they can make, like, I can't name the one effect, but I saw it in its test area and still didn't understand how it worked.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's kind of impressive. That's kind of cool. All right. Anyway, also Epic Universe will offer early park admission, which is an added benefit for staying on site. And speaking of access, here's what we know about ticket details. At first, only vacation packages, so resort stays, and 3-day tickets or longer will include 1 day at Epic Universe, and that's going to be sold starting tomorrow. The 3-day tickets start at like $375 and go up to like $550 with tax per person, depending on the date. Universal Orlando pass holders will get access on October 24th to purchase single-day tickets, and that's kind of a surprise because I didn't think that was going to happen.
Again, just what's kind of fascinating about this is that everything we've been hearing as we've been marching forward with this is waiting on how they're going to handle the admissions media. And obviously, your annual pass holders are among your most passionate fans and would be your strongest advocates for this. So, it does, in fact, make sense that they would be given priority access, but it's just sort of like, wow, I hope you get a lot of the park open when you get your priority access. In fact, what are your thoughts about that? Are you going to have any advice for folks going forward about?
Oh, yeah. We actually started in January building out the models for the Epic Universe attractions.
Okay.
So it's actually ready to go on the site. We need to basically flip a switch.
Okay.
The thing that we're trying to figure out now is how much demand there's going to be. At initial opening, obviously, you're going to get the kind of people who listen to the show, right? The people who really like theme parks. But how long does that last into the year, right? So how long is the initial wave of people in the summer? So let's say it's, May, June, July, and into August. Well, at the end of August, you run into kids going back to school, which is going to limit some demand. And I know that Universal says that sometime next year, single-day tickets for the general public will be on sale. And I guess that's going to sort of make up the difference. But the things we don't know right now are how long that initial wave is going to last. And then the crucial thing that we can't know is how good the word of mouth is going to be.
Yeah.
And we won't know that until the park opens and it runs. So
okay, we've described this before, terra incognito, but a good problem to have.
Exactly. I mean, again, it happens once every 10 years. So, Jim, we've also seen 2 ticket options for international guests. One is a ticket that includes admission to all 3 theme parks in Volcano Bay, with 1 admission to Epic Universe, so it's kind of similar to the U.S. And then, Jim, a 14-day ticket that allows entry into every park every day.
Okay.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? We should move to Portugal if we want to get access to.
There we go.
Who knew? Who knew that was going to be a thing?
Okay.
All right.
I
Okay.
was looking up my consumption of a sausage bread anyway. So yes, let's do this. Okay.
Exactly. All right. So we hope to have more information on Epic Universe as it's released. So we'll probably include that on next week's show. All right. On to the Disney news. All right, Jim, I think the big news here is that Disney announced a new product called Lightning Lane Premier Pass. And let me just say, Jim, before we get started, I was going to do this. I was going to announce this next week, but I'm calling for No Negative November, where I say only positive things about the Walt Disney Company for the 30 days beginning November 1st. And I would like to try that out now on this particular segment of the show, if that's okay with you.
Just caveat here, folks. Len has extensive histories working as a mime, so this could be.
All right, here we go. For this segment, I will attempt to spin all of this news as positively as possible.
Okay,
are you ready?
here we go.
All right, here we go. This is our preview for No Negative November. Here we go. All right, Jim, the good news is that for people who like choices, there are now 8 different ways to stand in line for a Disney ride. There's the standby line. There's the disability access service. There's child swap. There's boarding groups. There's Lightning Lane single pass. There's Lightning Lane multi-pass. There's VIP tours. And now, Jim, the Lightning Lane Premier Pass. If you need more choices to stand in line, Disney parks are where it's at. So here's how it works. The passes are good starting October 30th. You can buy them on October 23rd or a couple days from now, or up to 7 days in advance. There are supposedly very limited quantities because Disney wants to make this special. The price in Walt Disney World ranges from $129 to $429 per person per day. So I'm thinking the Magic Kingdom during Thanksgiving when it's super crowded when it is super popular. And Christmas, when the park's magic is even better, will probably be in the $429 range. And Animal Kingdom midweek in September, which is a fabulous time to go, will be $129 on 2 days. So it works out to be around $24 for each skipped line for the 20 most popular rides in the Magic Kingdom over Christmas. The interesting thing here is it combines both single pass and multi-pass so that you can get to ride everything without reservations. So you just show up, tap and go. And you get one of each per park per day. You can't buy more than one Premier Pass per park per day. And it's also only for guests. It is offered to guests that are staying at Disney's Deluxe and DVC resorts. So I'm expecting, Jim, a surge in popularity of one-night studio Old Key West days.
Yes. Okay. And fitting your 15 friends in there. Okay.
And I gotta give credit here. I was talking to Mike over at Blog Mickey a couple months ago when he broke this rumor, and I was like, Mike, there's absolutely no way that they're going to do this. It would cannibalize VIP sales. There are other things that they offer that this would affect. Like, there's no way they can do this. And not to put too fine a point on it, but you and I have seen the things that Disney's working on, and this wasn't in that list of things. It was not. So, I was like, I think this is a rumor. But credit to Mike, he knew what it was. So congratulations there. All right, so I just want to point out here that in terms of additional choices, beyond the 8 different ways that there are now to wait in line, this product fills a key niche in the Disney line skipping programs. So if you think about it, right, Disney has a product that lets you skip 5 to 7 lines per day for $200 to $300 per family per day for a family of 4, right? So they've got something in the $200 or $300 per day range, right? That's the single pass and multi-pass, right? And they've got a product that lets you skip lines that cost like $3,500 to $6,000 a day. That's the VIP tours, right? So they've got the $200 to $300 market. They've got the $4,000 to $6,000 market. But Jim, they really didn't have a product in the middle, something for families who want to spend like $1,000 to $1,800 a day to skip lines. And this product, Jim, fills that need. Like it's just about product market fit, Jim.
I can see I'm going to be spending a lot of time biting my tongue in November. Okay.
I will also note. So I was going through this with someone who wanted to know why this. I asked, what's the financial backing reason for this, and they pointed out this. They said the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 26.8% over the last year. The S&P 500 is up 33.6% over the last year. Disney stock is up 11%. So investors would have been better off buying something other than Disney stock. Although the satisfaction of owning the stock, Jim, is incalculable in terms of its value. But anyway, so Disney needs to charge consumers more money to give that money to shareholders. So more investors will want to buy its stock and keep its stock price high. That's how it was explained to me. And I value that explanation because I think it makes sense, Jim. Won't someone think of the shareholders?
But for me, coming on the heels of the price increases at Disneyland just last week, which again, you pointed out was what, double, if not triple?
2.5 times
There we
inflation.
go.
Yeah.
It just bothers me that this again is sort of preaching to the choir. The notion of Wall Street will be happy with this, not appreciating the conversations that will happen at the dining room table, that to sort of circle back to where we were at the top of today's show, that a family looking at what it's going to cost to go to Disney, and then it's like, well, what about this Epic Universe thing?
I think, Jim, if a family is sitting around the dining room table, now would be an excellent time to have a garage sale and maybe sell that dining room table because it gets everyone together as a family. It's a great family activity. And B, you get to meet your neighbors, which isn't it really all about the friends we make along the way? I think this is fantastic.
November's going to be tough. Okay.
All right, some other notes. Big Thunder Mountain closes January 6th, 2025 for an over year-long refurbishment to add more magic, Jim.
Well,
my guess is here they're also going to be... So part of this ride is over the water in Rivers of America.
There we go.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, this is phase one, so to speak, of the Cars Land Road Rally project and what's about to happen to Tom Sawyer's Island.
Do you think they'll take this time to also bring the railroad offline to start moving dirt for Rivers of America, or you think that's later on? Like, it seems to me that there's no way they can get that construction equipment around without closing the railroad.
That is an excellent point. When was our last rehab of the Walt Disney World Railway? Wasn't that?
It's been in the last few years because it just reopened. I mean, like in post pandemic.
Ah, wow. Okay. That's not good. All right.
Even more choo-choo train magic. All right, fantastic.
Okay. All right.
Also, the Little Mermaid, a musical adventure show at Hollywood Studios, which was originally slated to open in 2024, needs additional magic added to it and will now open in summer of 2025. Jim, a perfect time to visit an indoor air-conditioned theater, The Little Mermaid, in summer of 2025. I think it's great that it's opening just when we need a break.
Okay, that one I can get behind.
Fair. Also, the Dinorama area of Dinoland, including Triceratops Spin, Fun Fossil Games, Chester and Hester's, closing January 12th. No word yet on Dinosaur, the Boneyard, or Restaurantosaurus. But Jim, we had originally heard that this was supposed to be like November.
It was. In fact, what's kind of intriguing is what we'd previously heard was Thanksgiving with the gaming area and Chester and Hester going down. And then...
Right.
with Dinosaur and Restaurantosaurus hanging on till January. So this,
right? That's what I heard. Yeah.
What's also intriguing about this is I've been hearing that Dinosaur the Ride and Restaurantosaurus and the Boneyard will now hang on at least till April school vacation of next year.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so everything got pushed back roughly the same number of months from what we originally heard.
There we go.
And I think this is great because it gives Disney giving us fans one more chance to see these magical attractions before they are replaced with something even better.
Yep.
And by the way, those of you who are Boneyard fans, rest assured there will be something that has not yet been announced to make you happy. I'll leave it at that for now. Also, in terms of additional magic over at Epcot, Jim, the Candlelight Processional Narrators have been announced. I note that we've got 3 new people. We've got Nico Santos from Crazy Rich Asians, and also I believe Nico played Recorder Thiel in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
He did. He did.
Fantastic. We've got Titus Burgess, who is Sebastian in The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
Also new.
That one should be a lot of fun. I'm actually looking forward to him at the podium.
Also new is Ralph Macchio, who is the villain in the Karate Kid movies, which is great.
Yeah, that's again, for me, it's always intriguing who makes the list. And so yet another figure from the 1980s is on stage.
I mentioned that he's the villain because it's an inside joke for all of you How I Met Your Mother fans, because Neil Patrick Harris and PH is coming back December 17th and the 18th as well. And you'll recall in the episode where he has his Karate Kid themed birthday, he says, "No, Ralph Macchio's the villain."
There we go.
All right. Also on the list, so returning is Chrissy Metz from This Is Us, Whoopi Goldberg, Brendan Fraser is back, and that should be a hoot. Gary Sinise, NPH, as we said. Pat Sajak, who's walking over from Golden Oak, I believe. Gloria Stefan. Edward James almost gets the Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then Boxing Day gig. Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us. Also, when does Sterling K. Brown find the time to go to Epcot? Because that dude he is on everything right now. He is booking stuff back to back to back. What is?
And actually,
is he flying in and out just for the
well,
shows?
it's also worth noting here, Len, that on the 6th through the 7th of December, Whoopi Goldberg is in town, and like a day later, she starts her run at what is it, Madison Square Garden. They're doing a holiday version of Annie. So again, a lot of people parachuting in for this.
Wow. And then we end up with Jodie Benson. But Jim, I neglected to mention who starts off our Candlelight Processional this year. It is an actor named Josh Gad, who, Jim, I note, once played Sergeant Joe Larrabee in season 11, episode 16 of ER. It's kind of a reach for Disney there, but you know what? You got to give these people a break. You got to start somewhere.
Give a new young actor a chance. You know,
I am super excited for that. Go. So yeah, let's. I don't know much about this person, but let's see how they do. I'm super excited.
Best of luck.
Prickly kid. All right, on to listener questions. We've got a couple here. Here's one from our friend Michael, and it's an offer to all of you listeners. He says, "I'm cleaning out my office and I found some items that need a good home. Several years ago, I was given 2 boxes of Disney International stamps from the International Collector Society. There's about 140 sheets of stamps featuring Disney characters, movies, and so on. If anyone's interested, please let me know and I'll ship them to you. I'm not a stamp collector, so they're not doing anyone any good in my credits. So if anyone here is interested in this, email me, len@touringplans.com, and I will put you and Michael in touch." Thank you for that, Michael. Also from Rob Preteau, who says, "Do you think we'll see the return of characters to the multi-pass system in the near future? It was mentioned in a past episode that it was a staffing issue, but don't the characters need to be at their posts, whether it's a multi-pass or a standby guest, either way?" All right. So I've thought about this. And so Rob, thank you for this. I'm not going to say I was wrong because this is no negative November, right? And it's just a little early. My thinking has evolved on this, Jim.
Okay. How so?
I don't think it's staffing. I think this is a way to direct guests who want to meet the characters to Disney's exceptionally quality value character meals, because sit-down dining has a lot of availability right now, so it's an excellent time to book. And so some guests might say, you know what, we have to eat anyway, let's just book a meal at Restaurant Akershus when we're in Epcot and we'll see the princesses then. And I think that's a win-win for everyone, Jim.
Especially if you love herring. Okay, there we go. I'm just saying.
Yeah. We joke about the herring, but I did a breakfast buffet in Oslo one time, and there was a large and varied amount of herring on that buffet. Okay. Anyway. All right. From James Martin, who writes in to add to our comments about Disney's Boardwalk Inn's creepy clown pool. James says, "Don't forget about these nanny chairs over by the fireplace in the lobby. I half expect to see 1920s photos of Jack Nicholson nearby." And Jim, I included a photo of these things in the show notes. It looks like, honest to God, and I know the artist was not going for this, but it looks like someone tried to do Michael Eisner's face in a Queen Victoria sort of like lion's mane dress thing. And now that I've said it, you can't.
No,
I
can't.
Right?
I can't. In fact,
exactly.
It's a weird marriage of Michael Eisner and the twins from the hallway in The Shining.
Did anyone think that reading the show notes would cause retina damage? I did not. But anyway, here we are.
Look away.
All right.
Okay.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Jim starts the history of Epcot's El Rio del Tiempo boat ride. We'll be right back. And we're back. All right, Jim. One of my favorite Epcot attractions of all time.
Really? I didn't know that.
It gave off just the right vibes, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Interesting to hear that. And folks, we're doing this feature today because it actually keys off of a specific anniversary. In fact, it was October 21st, 1982, when El Rio del Tiempo was officially dedicated at the Mexico Pavilion at Epcot Center. Now, mind you, Len, that the pavilion itself wasn't officially dedicated till nearly 2 months later. In fact, our friend Martin Smith, who does that lovely series of videos about the Epcot attractions and a lot of the stuff at the parks, he includes this footage as part of his updated, re-edited version of the Mexico Pavilion story. And what's kind of interesting, Len, it's an outdoor party in mid-December in Orlando at night.
The weather can go either way at this point.
Well,
right?
it's gone the wrong way, Len. So
Okay, all right.
you have all these people seated at rounds outside of that 35-foot tall faux Mayan pyramid, and dignitaries have flown up from Mexico for this, and everybody is clearly freezing. And again, kind of ironic because just up those steps inside of that 85,000 square foot pavilion, you have all this interior space. In fact, in the Plaza de los Amigos, which is the area just inside the show building that replicates an outdoor marketplace at twilight. Now, by the way, I just learned this in the research for today's show. That pair of ramps that guests walk down as they go to enter Plaza de los Amigos, the marketplace. If you turn around and look back, this is supposed to be the hillside home of the mayor of this village.
Oh, there's a
story.
Fantastic.
So who knew? But all right, now just recently on Disney Dish, we talked at length about La Cava Tequila. So let's now talk about the other items of size we can find down in Plaza de los Amigos. And of course, we have the San Angel Inn Restaurante, which is modeled after a 17th century hacienda that's built at the base of some Mayan ruins, and boatloads of tourists regularly pass between those ruins and the restaurant. Idea, by the way, Len, borrowed from the Blue Bayou at Disneyland Park in California.
Oh, 100%.
There we go. As the guests get ready to experience El Rio del Tiempo, which again, just being polite here, is the economic version of the attraction that Walt Disney World visitors were originally supposed to get in this part of World Showcase. I know, in fact, once upon a time, the marquee attraction that the Imagineers designed for Epcot's Mexico Pavilion had a different name. It was supposed to be called Las Tres Culturas de Mexico.
Wait, hold on. Tres Culturas en esta economía? Okay, all right,
cool.
Okay.
More to the point, your journey was supposed to have started in a very different place, which is the floating gardens of Xochimilco, which is a section of southern Mexico City where even today you can travel on this series of canals that the Aztecs built thousands of years ago. Wow. And what you were supposed to have done is climbed aboard a traje nede, which is a colorful gondola-like boat with a canopy overhead, and as a cast member pulled you along through this green space. The cast member would then tell you the story of the three distinct eras of Mexican history: the pre-Columbian Mexico, Spanish colonial Mexico, and finally modern Mexico.
Oh, this is a great story idea.
Well, this is the thing, Len. Early on, it's a spieling attraction, like the Jungle Cruise over the Magic Kingdom. Also supposed to have been this totally unique ride experience. Again, the cast members using a pole to push your traje Avenida across like a gondolier in Venice. And again, based on the concept art that the Imagineers originally shared for this proposed World Showcase, La Tres Culturas de Mexico would have been built on an epic scale. I mean, there would have been an entirely new show building built out behind the Mexico Pavilion that would have housed most of this attraction's major show scenes. But that didn't happen, largely because Epcot's German Rivers ride, which was supposed to be even more ambitious than Las Tres Culturas de Mexico, got pushed off to Epcot's Phase 2 just 2 years before Walt Disney World's second gate was supposed to open.
So wait, hold on. So in 1980, 2 years before opening, they decided to push off the German boat ride to Phase 2, and that affected Mexico's boat ride.
Yeah, the dominoes started to fall.
Right. Okay.
At this point, the Mexican boat ride, which again it was initially supposed to be Phase 2 as well, suddenly got fast-tracked. It's like, and more to the point, it now had to be reconfigured to fit inside of the already designed and about to begin construction Mexico Pavilion.
Oh, because they're under budget constraints and time constraints at this time.
There we go.
All right, so we need 7 months. You've got a minute and a half.
There we go.
Okay.
Very true.
Right.
Okay, so why was the marquee attraction for Epcot's Germany Pavilion pushed off to Phase 2, even though the entrance to the German Rivers ride had already been hardwired into this World Showcase Pavilion? In fact, it's there even still today, Len.
It's there today. You walk into the German Pavilion, you go up to
right there to the right.
Beer Garden.
Yep.
Go to the right. That's where the entrance would have been.
There we go.
All right.
Okay, here's the description from 1978 of what this Epcot experience was supposed to have been like. That the German Rivers Ride is a simulated cruise down Germany's most famous and picturesque rivers, the Rhine, the Tobar, the Ruhr, and the Isar. Guests will ride past intricately detailed miniatures of famous landmarks, Neuenstein Castle, the Garmisch Classic Ski Area, Rothenburg, and the Cologne Cathedral. Now, what's interesting this time around is that the miniatures were going to be scaled so that they appeared to be full-sized scenes when viewed from a distance. And in addition to these miniatures, Len, the ride was also supposed to have featured several full-sized tableaus that were supposed to appear as animated visions in the sky.
Okay.
And these tableaus were supposed to have depicted milestones from German history and culture.
Oh, milestones, Jim? Milestones in German history and culture? Okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
This is what we call foreshadowing, folks.
I'm now at least I'm paying attention now to this pitch. Go ahead.
There we go. All right, so as the German Rivers ride comes to a close, the guests disembark at the edge of an authentic German beer garden, where they can enjoy food, drink, and music in this most festive of German settings. So,
okay.
Now,
fair.
in a weird sort of way, Germany's main problem is the same one that Mexico had, in that the Imagineers had built this World Showcase Pavilion's signature restaurant, in this case, the beer garden, out ahead of the boat rides, because it was believed, and as proved true, the beer garden would be one of Epcot's very big earners. But again, just like the Mexico Pavilion, the original plan was to get Germany up and running and then put a show building, and expand the show building out into this World Showcase Pavilion, which would accommodate, the show scenes, the boat trough, all of the back of house stuff, everything you need to operate and maintain a water-based attraction of this size.
So when you got off the boat ride, where were you supposed to exit?
You were supposed to come out from, I guess the parallel would be the Frozen Ever After the configuration there. The idea was that you would have come out behind the beer garden and you would have walked along a low wall that would have allowed you to look down into the beer garden.
Okay, because every time I go into beer garden and I walk along that sort of mezzanine level, I think to myself, this has to be the exit path.
There we go.
From the boat ride that never got built.
There you
because
go. No, that's it.
It just doesn't make sense any other way. Okay, thank you.
And
right.
With the idea that, not to put too fine a point on it, but you would have come out literally by the podium. Just sort of walk by looking at it, and then you arrive at the podium. And
you know what? I could eat.
Yeah, there we go. All right. But again, the German Rivers Ride combination miniatures and full-size tableaus. Again, Len mentioned that the famous moments from German history. So why would this bit have been a problem? Okay. Here's a math question for you kids. All right, say you were 18 back in 1944, which, by the way, is when the Battle of the Bulge was held in the Ardennes, which was America's single deadliest battle in all of World War II. We lost 19,000 men and with an additional 75,000 casualties. And so, Len, how old would an 18-year-old have been in 1982 when Epcot was supposed to open?
So if you're 18 and 44, you were born in 1926. That makes you 56-ish years old when in 1982.
Which is roughly about the time that if you haven't already started planning for retirement, you're looking at it hard now. And
where by law are you supposed to retire if you're a retiree in the United States?
Again, that's the Seinfeld joke that I love so much.
Del Boca Vista.
That's right. It's like they didn't want to go to Florida, but it's the law. So it's like, so all right. So just to review here.
So we have a bunch of World War II veterans moving to Florida when we're opening up the German.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
You know what?
Could possibly
it's
go
a
wrong?
chance for understanding.
Well, and what's absolutely fascinating about it is, remember, we have the German Rivers boat ride, but we also have the Meet the World show that's supposed to be part of Japan. In fact, they built the theater for that land. That one was ready to go. And same thing. It's like, well, wait a minute. A bunch of people who might have issues with things that celebrate German and Japanese history will be coming to Florida just as we're opening this up.
Wow.
This is why in 1980, management literally stomped the brakes on both of these shows. And the decision was, okay, when we're talking Germany and Japan at Epcot, no shows, no rides, lots of food, lots of music. Hey, it's entertaining, and go buy a commemorative beer stein. But we're not going to talk about history.
Now that we're going through this, I'm trying to go through the World Showcase countries and figure out which ones America hasn't been in an actual shooting war with. So Canada, we invaded.
Yep.
England a couple of times. France, I don't think we've ever fought France or the French and Indian War, but we weren't the United States back then. That's sort of iffy there.
Okay.
Morocco, I don't think we've ever fought Morocco. Japan, yes.
Yeah.
The United States, we actually fought ourselves. We had a civil war.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Italy, yes. Germany, yes. China, no. Norway, no. Mexico, yes.
There we go.
Wow. All right. Okay. All right.
We face it. We have trouble getting along with others, Len.
I'm just thinking, like, how many decades have to pass before after the war before everyone's cool with a World Showcase country getting a ride?
Well, now what's interesting about that is in recent conversations with Imagineers, and I brought up the Rhine River Ride, and they said the absolute irony is you could do that attraction today. All right.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That enough time has passed that would work. But I asked then Meet the World, and it's like, that one's still a little problematic. Anyway, to get back to, again, this is 1980s. This decision has come down. Dick Nunes, who is the president of Walt Disney Outdoor Recreation, that's what the parks division of the company was called in the late 70s, early 80s. At this point, he raises his hands. It's like, guys, by taking this ride and this show off the table, you've now effectively kneecapped capacity for the side of Epcot. It's like, I need anything for guests to be able to do over on this side of the park. And so this is when, in a blind panic, they turned to Claude Coates. Now, Claude Coates is one of Walt Disney's original Imagineers. He did a lot of work on the very first attractions that were built at Disneyland. More to the point, some of the most beloved attractions ever built for Disney Park. We're talking Pirates, we're talking Mansion, we're talking Small World. Claude had a hand in. So, but the other thing worth noting about Claude is Claude had a gift for when there was a sudden change of plans. For example, the Imagineers were originally going to build, as part of the Magic Kingdom in Florida, an East Coast version of Disneyland's Adventures Through Inner Space ride, which, remember, is powered by an Omnimover, just like the Haunted Mansion.
Right. Yeah, you go through a microscope. This was the Monsanto ride. Right?
There we go. All right. But interesting you bring that up, because Disney had literally ordered the Omnimover to go into the space when Monsanto said, I don't think we want to sponsor that. And so now Disney has ordered a rather expensive ride system and has cleared space in a under construction Tomorrowland building for this. And it's like, okay, we got a ride system, we got a building, we got no ride. Claude!
Ooh. Yeah, yeah.
And Claude well, who are you thinking of talking to? And it's like, well, Eastern Airlines? It's like, okay, all right, let me go off. And Claude looked at the space that was available in this particular building and how much space the Adventures Through Inner Space show scenes would have taken up. And he backwards engineered if you had wings.
Oh. Really? It was back engineered to fit into the space. No way!
Well, it was the whole notion of, I have this space, I have this ride system, and I have this sponsor who's going to want this message. And then he went out and bought 15 different projectors. And just sort of like, and with a handful of practical props and sets, created a halfway decent ride.
And by halfway decent, you mean one of the most beloved attractions that this company has ever built. I mean, to this day, people love this thing.
We're still 2 weeks out from November Land. I'm just saying. Okay.
That was from the heart. I have no problem with you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Made me want to get on an airplane. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So now Claude has basically been asked to do the exact same thing in Mexico. Take an already under construction structure and figure out how to shoehorn in a ride, and a boat ride at that.
Oh. He'd already done air. Now he's doing sea. Okay, great.
But here's the interesting thing. Claude has, again, not his first rodeo. And so he works backwards. It's like, all right, this is a boat ride. We're going to need a back of house area where, how many boats are we doing for this? 19? Okay, got it. All right, I need space for 19 boats to be maintained.
Yeah.
And he finds that space, in fact, out behind the Mesoamerica scenes in Tres Culturas. And it's like, all right, we start there. And what does this leave me for my actual footprint for a ride?
Oh, yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you start by taking out all of the maintenance stuff, and then that's what you have left for a ride.
There we go.
Oh, that's clever.
There we go.
Okay.
But again, this is now the sequel to If You Had Wings, because it's like there is literally no space for scenery. So the only way to make this work is to take whatever space isn't occupied by the boat trough, especially in the incredibly narrow back section of this attraction, and just place in, and oddly enough, it's the exact same number of projectors that you find in If You Had Wings, 15.
Oh, is that where they're using projection for some of those initial show scenes? Because that's what they could fit in rather than to build something more elaborate.
Oh, that's it, exactly. I mean, think about it. You needed, you had already made promises to the folks who were building the restaurant that faced down at the Mayan ruins. The effect of, this is Blue Bayou revisited. We're going to have people float by. So it's like, you can't cheat that scene.
Right. Yeah, you can't cut that out. You can't cut the load-unload because that's a function of how many boats you're supposed to have.
There you go. And then suddenly that's why you have the configuration that you do, which, by the way, we will go into greater detail on next week's show, because obviously we're going to have a conversation about how 25 years after El Rio del Tiempo opened, that then became Grand Fiesta starring the Three Caballeros, which I'm going to say here, for my money, is the more entertaining version of this attraction. But anyway, to just, again, not to put too fine a point on it, it barely fit into the available space. And because it was so rushed and it had such a tight budget, a lot of the really ambitious storytelling that the Imagineers had originally wanted to do with Tres Culturas de Mexico got dropped, and this is why it has the simpler title of El Rio del Tiempo, which again, and there, everybody knows from the old sign, Ride the River of Time. And you'll be back here in 8 minutes. So,
And that makes sense. The space constraints help make sense of the scene where you're going through modern Mexico City, and it's basically shiny paintings on a wall
yeah.
with some firework effects in the ceiling. And the thing is, the ceiling had to be there so you could put the effect there without having to build out space behind the walls, which you probably didn't have. So you needed something in that room to make it pop. Ceiling effects. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, no, it is on the second half of the story, we're going to walk through the original version of the attraction. We're going to come in behind that with what the team that Eric Goldberg and George Scribner, what they did with the Caballeros, and then I won't lie, the somewhat controversial decision to bring in those animatronics from the Mickey Mouse Revue, which I'm going to argue actually ruined a great end of that ride. But yeah, we'll get that on next week's show.
Fabulous.
Cool.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for the show today. You can help support our show by subscribing over at patreon.com/JimHillMedia, where we're posting exclusive shows every week. Our most recent show is on what Walt Disney World was like on opening day in 1971. On next week's show, Jim continues the history of El Rio del Tiempo, which was dedicated on October 21st, 1982. You can find more of Jim at jimhillmedia.com and more of me, Len, at touringplans.com. We're produced spectacularly by Eric Hersey and David Gray, who'll be guest conducting the University of Minnesota Marching Band on Olivia Rodrigo's Deja Vu and other straight-up bops at the 63rd Annual Indoor Marching Band Festival on Saturday, November 16th, 2024 at the Northrop, that's on campus, on Church Street, in beautiful downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. While Eric and David are doing that, please go into iTunes and rate our show and tell us what you'd like to hear next. For Jim, this is Len. We will see you on the next show.